today we have a very informative educational program tonight, and we have people rolling in. I've actually had several texts and emails in the last hour to say, the cool weather, some people may stay at home and watch it live streamed. I'd like to point out the fact that we have had a lot of agencies contact us and want to know more about the PIP program. And it's really exciting to talk to, some smaller agencies, but a lot of larger agencies. And they want to know what your secret is. And I talk about the involvement that you all do as stakeholders in your neighborhood. So it's really powerful to let other agencies know. And actually, just last week, 2 agencies, one outside of Boston, contacted me, and they are going to be watching tonight. And also, an agency out of Florida is going to be watching. Their staff and their citizens are logged on live stream tonight. So welcome all of the members, potential members that are out of state. Without further ado, I'd like to bring up our chairperson, Joan Bouchard, who's been around for many, many years. Okay. But anyway, please come up and we'll start the meeting. We have a very informative meeting. Real quick, we have surviving an active shooter. And, there's a lot of companies throughout the nation that charges for this, and they go to major companies and they charge it. So tonight, there's no charge tonight. It's what we provide. The chief and the command staff here provides within the PIP program. So this is very informative. It's going to be a little bit longer because there's a lot of information to cover, and you're actually will be getting a lot of information and training that we do with officers. Scale down. So it's going to be about an hour and 15 minutes of actual training. So I know there's more people that are coming in. But anyway, welcome and enjoy. And please take this information back to your families, your communities, churches, and businesses. Joan, you have the floor.
Good evening. How is everyone? We're good?
Wonderful.
Good. Welcome to the in-person and live streaming of the Chief Citywide PIP meeting. We would like to thank all of you and the citywide and divisional PIP members attending this evening and those who have logged on. Hi, Boston. Hi, Florida. We hope you enjoy this program. There's a lot of information this evening. And also, I'm going to speed it up because it's an hour and 15 minutes of the active shooter program. If I speak too quickly, I apologize. We here in Houston can proudly stand up and proclaim that we offer this program, Positive Interaction Program, which is really the best kept secret in the city. Nobody really knows about it until you go out into the community and you tell them about it. I know that's really a true thing. Okay, in place, we promote a positive relationship with every member of the community. And it is you and your community who take credit for the PIP program's success. And at these meetings, the goal is to provide attending members information, which you then take back. And I know it's a repeat from what Officer Sabota said, but you have to understand, the more times you say it, it does stick in your brain. Okay, we have invocation from Officer Vince Johnson. Please.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Let us pray. Our Father and our God, we thank you for this opportunity to gather together. We thank you for keeping each and every one of us safe. We ask that you continue to bless the citywide PIP meeting, and we ask that you continue to lead and guide its coordinator, Brother James Sabota. We ask that you continue to bless the leadership of the Houston Police Department, who realize that this is a valuable collaboration between the police and the community. We thank you for all that you have done. We thank you for what you're going to do, and we thank you for what you're doing right now. Bless the meal in which we are receiving, and grant us traveling grace when we conclude and depart from this particular location. This is our prayer. In your precious name we pray. Amen.
The success of this program is expressed by the following statement. We are a dedicated group of citizens and business owners. We work together with the dedicated chief and command staff, and if you would turn around, you would see what I'm talking about in the back of the room. Good. Okay, let's give them a hand. Working together, and the main objective is to reduce crime. And we'd like to thank all of you for your participation to gain the growth and recognition from other cities and police departments because of this program. Next, we have the department's Crime Analysis Division, and it provides a citywide crime analysis report. This evening, Commander Matthew May will take care of the information. Oh, there you are. Okay, I thought I saw you, please.
Good evening, everyone. I'm glad to see everybody who came out. We're going to review our crime stats so far this year. A couple of caveats real quick. These are not the official crime stats of the Houston Police Department. These are reported incidents, not the completed investigations. Those lag about a month behind. So if you're looking for our official crime stats, they're available on the HPD webpage. Many of the incidents that I'm about to show, these are criminal incidents. There may be multiple infractions on each of the incidents. So I just want to throw that out there in case you go to our webpage and see the numbers don't quite match up. So looking at violent crimes and nonviolent crimes year to date, our nonviolent crimes are up 4.4%. As you can see, that's being driven by our BMVs down in the left-hand side. So please don't leave anything in your car. Always put it in the trunk or take it with you. We can't say that enough. Looking at our violent crime, it's down 10%, despite what the news might be telling you right now. The categories that are up are obviously murder, where you hear about that quite a bit, and kidnappings. Next, looking at the last 28 days, you can see that violent crime is trending down compared to the 28 days before this, going back into December, or going back into January. Also, nonviolent crimes are trending down. So that's a really good thing for us. Now, looking at crimes that involve firearms, we've had 106 incidents over the last 28 days with 114 victims. 29 of those were homicides, 10 were robberies, 5 involved domestic violence, and 1 was gang-related. That's basically a snapshot of what we've got going on in the city right now. So unless there are any questions, we'll move on. Yes, sir.
So the factor down in the last 28 days, that's the weather, maybe?
Possibly. I'd like to say it's due to all the good work that we're doing, but there are many factors. We back in,
The term blue wave is good.
right. Yeah, we'll always take advantage of the weather when we can. Yes, ma'am.
On number of victims, does that mean all of them died, or this they were shot?
Well, the homicides, all of them died. But these are incidents that some of them are robberies, some of them are aggravated assaults. That's not, we did not have 106 people who were killed in the last 28 days.
Okay, I understand that. Thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am. Going once, going twice.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much.
You know, the one thing I did forget, do we have any brand new people this evening? If you would stand up and just tell us where you're from, what division, and your name. If not, we're going to send you home. Only kidding. There was somebody over here also?
Yeah, my name is David Becker. This is my wife, Mariana. We're
Oh, welcome. Okay, good. We won't send you home. Oh, one more. Okay.
My name is Shelly Matthews, and I'm from Walmart out of Suncoast Oak. I'm the asset protection coach.
Thank you for coming. Welcome. Okay, I have to take care of some business here. The food this evening, and there's plenty of food back there. We have Southwest donating Northeast, North Belt, and North divisions. Thank you, and give them a hand, please. Okay, the other thing is a recognition, and we have the citizens of Houston in the area of Westheimer, Voss, Hillcroft, which is very close to where I live. And we would like to thank the Midwest HPD Division, DRT officers, and they're in the back, and will you please wave? And I'll tell you what they did. They're wearing hats, if you need to recognize them. And that's to thank them very much for their help in cleaning the empty CVS store on the corner, which was an eyesore. And it was really a job well done. And CVS contributed to the help also. So again, many thanks from the citizens in that area. And we look decent again. Thank you. Okay, the next thing on our agenda is the Executive Chief, Matt Slinkert. The chief is out of town on business, so we have
Thank you.
Commander Slinkert. Okay.
All right. Thank you, Joan. Well, good evening, everybody. Oh, that's horrible. You can do so much better, especially in the back. Good evening, everybody. All right, now we're awake. Wonderful. We are excited to see you, so I hope you're excited to see us. And this is always a pleasure for us and a treat. And thank you to those that are joining us on the live stream and to our law enforcement and emergency responders in Florida. Prayers go out to you for some of the wildfires and things like that you're experiencing right now. So our prayers and our thoughts are with you as well as emergency responders are dealing with that. A couple of housekeeping issues before I get started with my comments. Officer Sobota said that there was no charge for tonight's presentation. That is false. There is actually a fee. That fee is your big smile, all your pearly whites right here. Let's see them. Big smile. Okay, much better. The fare has been paid. So now we can continue with the presentation. And one other housekeeping issue, somebody who blesses us on a daily basis. I hope they didn't escape. I hope they're still here. Is Chaplain Johnson still here? And would you stand for me 1 second, please? So Chaplain Johnson, formerly Officer Johnson, our HPD chaplain, was recently promoted to sergeant. He is now Sergeant Chaplain Johnson. Thank you very much. Thank you, Chaplain, for your encouragement and all the prayer that you cover us with every single day. And it is noticed, and we appreciate it. Also want to say we might have some other dignitaries here in the room. I'm not sure if we do, but I always want to say thank you to our former Chief of Police, CO Brad Bradford, for being here. Always here to represent, and also a great liaison with us over in the District Attorney's Office. And so thank you, Chief, for always being here and being a part and being involved in what's going on in this community. You know, one of the things that I wanted to impart to you on behalf of Chief Fenner, who's away on business right now, is, you know, the sky is not falling, and let's look at the positive a little bit as it relates to our response to some of the violent crime that we've been seeing. As Commander May pointed out, you'll notice that really the majority of our violent crime categories for the city are down and have been trending down. And we ended 2021 with violent crime down about 4% from the previous year throughout the city. And so that's really good. And we would like to stay on that trajectory. Unfortunately, what we've seen, which is similar to the rest of the nation, is ever since 2020, what we've seen is that increase in homicides. Where other violent crime categories are coming down and we seem to be having a good impact, the homicides is something that we've still been struggling with, but we are committed and we are dedicated to trying to have the greatest impact we can in 2022 on those increasing homicide numbers that we've seen in our city and throughout the nation. With that, as you know, you may have seen the press conference recently where the mayor and city council colleagues and others and the police department and many others in our city, in our region, announced the mayor's One Safe Houston plan. I would encourage you to go online and look at the One Safe Houston plan and some of the things that we will be doing in the coming months and in the year ahead to make sure that we're doing everything we can to combat violent crime. One of those things I think that is already paying dividends is the mayor and council have put the necessary resources forward for us to at least increase our visibility and our staffing to respond to incidents and also be out there in a proactive way. And these hardworking commanders behind you have been working diligently over the last several weeks, led by Executive Assistant Chief Satterwhite, who's here and has joined us on our additional units out there, an additional 125 per day, right, that are out there working around the clock to make sure that we can do the very best we can to combat this violent crime rise, and especially that increase in shootings that we've seen and the increase in homicides. As you know, we've also tragically seen in recent weeks and months officers that have died in the line of duty. 2 deputy constables recently. That's been very tragic for us. The most recent was Deputy Neil Adams from San Jacinto County, who we lost tragically, and our thoughts and prayers are obviously with those families. And so as we move forward, because of some of the challenges that we've had in recent years on staffing and making sure that we're working hard to get our staffing where it needs to be, it's a constant challenge, and it's a constant challenge in a tough fiscal environment and a tough budget environment, especially, you know, going through the pandemic as we all have for the last couple of years. That has been a challenge. And so right now our staffing, while lower than we would like it to be, we're working diligently on that with city leaders to try to get our numbers where they need to be so that we can be responsive. I am very happy for the 105 cadets that we have sitting right now inside the Houston Police Academy. We need every single one of them. So we hope that they're studying hard and will do well, because we need all of them to come out here and get sworn in and help us serve and protect this city. But as we move forward in 2022, what we're really going to need is we're going to need, of course, the efforts that I talked about a little bit with our One Safe Houston program, with our additional overtime that we're putting out there, the additional investigative and follow-up work we need to do to bring cases to closure. But we're also going to need the entire system working together, and we've been very vocal about that. We're going to need the entire criminal justice system working together in the interest of public safety. And so there's a lot of conversations that need to be had in our region and our county, and a lot of tough conversations. But we're at the table and we're doing that, and we're having those tough conversations so that we can have the greatest realized impact for the safety of our community. But there's a lot of challenges ahead of us, right? We're facing the same thing that we are seeing in major cities throughout the nation. To some degree, coming out of the pandemic, we've talked about this a couple of times. We've seen, as it relates to at least the homicides, and we've seen as it relates to road rage incidents that were increasing in 2020 and 2021, to some degree, just a loss of civility, right? That unfortunately, I think we all need to get a handle on, and we as a society and we as a collective community need to do better about getting to back to a sense of civility and a sense of community. And so we are here to partner with you to do that. We will be here day in and day out. Our attitudes, while the environment is tough, our attitudes and our spirit, it remains high. And I'm so very proud of this agency and all the officers that, despite the challenges, they come to work every single day trying to make a difference and do the very best they can despite the challenges. And the Houston Police Department is committed to doing that, and we will continue to do that. But keep in mind, the main focus for tonight is to understand that, yes, we do still have some challenges as it relates to combating the homicides. That's homicides that are gang-related, narcotics-related, as well as domestic violence-related. We still have some work to do there. But other violent crime categories we are seeing as we ended 2021 and as we go into 2022 are trending down. And so we're happy to see that, and we need to continue on that course. I want to always give a reminder, I try to do this every time I have an opportunity to speak to groups, is please remember, if you are a gun owner, please remember to store your firearms securely and responsibly. We still have too many firearms stolen from vehicles in the city of Houston. We have been averaging somewhere around 3,600 or a little more firearms per year that are stolen from vehicles. And And please do your best as a responsible gun owner to make sure that your weapons are secure. Oftentimes when those guns are stolen from vehicles, they might be legally owned firearms in your vehicle, but once stolen, they often become crime guns. And that's very difficult for us to deal with when we have such a proliferation of those guns getting onto the street by being stolen and then becoming crime guns. And it makes it very, very difficult. So please remember, it's not just locking up your personal belongings, your purse, and not leaving those things in plain view and all that. Please be responsible about locking up your firearms as well. And keep that in mind. And I think that will help all of us. Also, I want to mention that I'm going to be running out here quickly after my comments because I'm going to try to get out to the Houston Police Academy. We have a Houston Citizens Police Academy class beginning tonight. So I want to get out there and speak to them as well if I can catch them while they're still there. And so many of you, raise your hand if you've been part of the Houston Citizens Police Academy before. All right, great. Thank you. Applause for you. So always great to see us starting again, right? Coming out of the pandemic, seeing us starting again with things like that and these things where we can engage with our community. I think we've all been we've been overloaded with Zoom and Teams and everything else. And sometimes there's just no replacement for getting together as a community, your police department and our community members that we serve, and seeing each other's smiling faces. And it's much better in person than over a computer screen. So we are encouraged to see you tonight and encouraged that we're getting back at least to some sense of normalcy so we can begin working collaboratively with each other like we have for so very long and for so many decades here in the city of Houston. James says it often, you know, this is a model program, and it's a model program for a reason. It's a model program because of the people, because of the hearts and the minds and the collective spirit of the people that are involved. And so we need you as much as you need us. Thank you so much for being great citizens and community members and partners with us. With that, I'll leave you for the program. I know it's long, but I think you will enjoy it and get some knowledge out of it. It's unfortunate, right? You might think it's unfortunate that we have to come up here and have an active shooter defense class. But you know what? Best to be informed. Best to be informed and have some good information, and always better to act from a place of being educated and informed. And so I think you'll enjoy tonight's presentation, but thank you again for your attendance. Thanks.
Okay, one more and then the program. Angelina Hudson, Executive Director with NOMI, National Alliance of Mental Illness, Houston chapter. And she's going to give us a brief update, please.
Well, good evening, everyone. I'm just between you and your spectacular speaker for this evening, so I'm gonna get out of the way really quickly. My name is Angelina Brown Hudson. I should know my last name. I was so ready to tell you that I was born and raised in Houston. So I am a citizen of the great city of Houston and the great state of Texas. And I want to say that while we might be able to imitate this great Houston Police Department's PIP program, I don't know if we can exactly duplicate this program. Sorry, Boston and Florida, because it does take a team. And I consider myself a member of this group, born and raised here. My dad is 35 years retired, Houston Police Department, right here on Reasoner Street. Most of my life growing up right here in the courthouse. And the reason this group is so wonderful is because of the people on both sides of the table, the citizens, what we bring to the table, and of course our brothers and sisters in blue who support us as well. So I'm here to represent NAMI tonight. NAMI stands for the National Alliance on Mental Illness for Greater Houston. We've been around since 1988. I've been with the organization for 21 years. And I want to say that far too often, but very well understood, when we encounter someone who's having a mental health challenge or emotional imbalance, who do we call? We call the police. But I want you to know there are weeks, there are minutes, there are hours, there are months prior to that phone call to police where we know people that need help. 1 in 5 adults, 1 in 5, well, actually now the stat is 1 in 6 children, but it doesn't matter what the stat is when it's you. or your family member or your friend or your neighbor or your church member. So I want you to know that as a member of this organization and representing NAMI, I want you to know that there are peers, there are family members, there are loved ones, there are individuals in recovery that are here to stand with you and support those that you know that need help. It is not a clinical program. There is no diagnosis. There's no clinician. It's peer-led psychoeducation, family support groups, individual support groups. And what we want to do is share with you our stories, our experiences, and our stories of overcoming. You never really get rid of a mental health diagnosis, but you can certainly live a life that you're proud of. And your loved ones can too. And by the way, those loved ones that are diagnosed, which is the company I'm in, they'll make you think you're having a mental problem sometimes. So it's best for us to get educated. Our approach is bio-psychosocial. That means bio, get a solid diagnosis, understand your treatment plan. Psycho, know how that impacts you. 2 people with bipolar disorder, 2 people dealing with depression, they will not look alike. They'll look different. So what does it mean to you? And then social, find your people. Find people who are not going to judge you, criticize you, accept you, be sincere with you. And that's how we make it through this struggle together. So I want to just thank you again for letting me speak tonight. There are some brochures in the back. All of our programs are free. We do not charge the people that we serve. So our support groups are at no charge. Everything is medically reviewed, evidence-based, research-based. Again, we're not pushing meds or anything, any particular type of treatment or doctor or option. We're just providing free information. So please, if you can, stop by, pick up a brochure. And officers, if you're here, grab some of those brochures, stick them in your car, because I tell you, if you educate a person or a family with what's going on, your calls will go down. At least we hope so. And again, my name is Angelina Hudson. I put business cards on the table as well. We come out and do free presentations. We raise awareness and advocacy in our community. We have a big walk on May 21st. So you've got somebody that you can't say the word mental and illness in the same sentence, that's fine. Invite them to the walk. Get some exercise, come out and meet some new people. It's a way to kind of introduce the subject to people on May 21st without being abrasive, because nobody wants to hear, okay, I think you have a problem, right? So, but we all know, we all have some degree of mental health and some degree of mental unwellness, depending on what day of the week it is, right? So we just want people who have these issues to know what the best practices are to stay whole and healthy. All right, Houston? Love y'all. Thank you.
Our featured presentation this evening is Surviving an Active Shooter. I have a question. How would you respond if your life was on the line? I think you're going to find out. Correct?
I hope so.
Stephen Daniel, HPD Senior Community Liaison. Ready?
Now, if you look around the room, you may wonder, who's taking care of the city? I can tell you, because I'm a proud daddy. I got a daughter on duty right now out on the streets of Houston, so you're safe. Chill out, okay? But yeah, I can, and if she knew I was bragging about her, oh, she'd be so upset. So anyway, we're going to talk about a topic that's not real pleasant, but it's so necessary in the crazy world we live in today. It's how you survive an active shooter, and it's not by carrying a gun. It's by carrying intelligence up here. I'm going to show you how you can create your own personal, unique survival mindset up here, and you can apply it to work, but you can apply it to church. You can apply it to the mall. You can apply it to all the different venues you go to in life. And the bottom line, this stuff works. I got 5 survivors over 10 years that have come back and said, Mr. Daniel, what you taught me saved my life. Most recently, a lady attorney from right downtown here that was out in Las Vegas at that shooting. So the reality is, if you'll take my suggestions and do the exercises of visualization and you ever become the victim of an active shooter, odds are you will make intelligent choices that significantly improve your odds of survival. Now, just recently, just up north of here, we saw in Colleyville, this troubled individual showed up, and you know what the real key to this situation was? For about 11 hours, I understand, he held these people in the synagogue hostage, And at the 11th hour, literally 11, he turned his back. They made their escape and they got out. But what was the key? The key is they had active shooter training before, not from me, but they had it and they had ideas up here and they knew what to do. So once again, here is living proof that this will work if you will take the time. Now, here's our first definition of an active shooter. This comes from the FBI. One or more individuals actively engaged in attempting to kill people in a populated area. And candidly, this is about ordinary people. That's you and me. By the way, I'm a civilian staff. I'm not a gun toter. I call James or whoever if I need a gun. So anyway, this is the bottom line. It's ordinary people with your predetermined survival mindset that you've created over time. It does work. Trust me. Now, in 2000 to 2018, for you numbers crunchers, you can see the numbers. The majority of shootings are in the business world, but what troubles me the most is a very significant portion, about 20%, occur in our schools, where our precious children and grandchildren are. And that is the part of the epidemic I really hate terribly, but that's just the way it is these days. Now, we're going to talk about 6 categories of active shooter very briefly. You can see up there, but if you go to the FBI, they're going to tell you there's 4. I'm sorry, I think they made a mistake because they leave off medical facilities and general public. I don't know how you do that. I mean, whatever. So let's talk about these briefly. K through 12, it tends to be a white male shooter with a history of trauma. They really get into planning these things. We saw that at Columbine. Those young men had that attack planned out to the nth degree, like a military operation, and they used multiple stolen guns. Why stolen guns? How many 18, 19-year-olds can go out and legally buy a gun? They can't. So once again, what has already been said by the chief, keep your weapons secure. Now, look, if you have weapons, that's fine. I do. Keep them secure. Hey, if you want to take that young person, that child of yours or that grandchild of yours, when you think they're mature enough, out and teach them how to safely shoot that weapon, that's great. Do it. But when you get home, clean the weapon and lock it up. Don't leave it available on some bad day when their girlfriend has really talked ugly to them and upset them terribly that they can get access to that weapon. Please don't do that. Be responsible. Keep those weapons secured. Now, college and university shooters. Well, these tend to be non-white males. Don't ask me why, because I really don't know. They have a history of violence and childhood trauma. Seriously, a difficult time growing up as a young person. And this really complicates it for these officers standing back here when they get the call of an active shooter. They're suicidal. They don't have anything to lose. That really ups the ante quite a bit, unfortunately. And legally obtain handguns. Well, we just said 18, 19-year-olds can't, but come on. For those of you that had the luxury of going to college on that Friday night, if you wanted that bottle of wine and you were only 18 or 19, could you maybe get an upperclassman to go buy it for you? Of course. Same thing with a weapon. So they do have technically legally purchased weapons. Countdown. Workplace shooter, if you're familiar with it, that's a picture of night transportation out in Katy, Texas. Perhaps you remember a couple of years ago out there when they had an active shooter. Well, what happened? This gentleman got terminated for whatever reason. He left. The next day he comes back. He parades in, walks right past all his fellow previous employers. He goes to HR, shoots and kills HR, then takes his own life. That's not an active shooter. And you say, well, why? People died. Because an active shooter has a totally different mindset. They would never walk past a living, breathing human being without trying to kill them. I don't care if it's a 3-month-old baby or a 97-year-old woman. They, in their mind, this is a video game, and they want to outscore the shooter from over in Norway that killed, I don't know, something like 85 or something like that. That's their goal. So you got to understand, it's a different mindset than what I just described there. So the workplace shooter, it tends to be males in their 40s. There's really no racial profile. It's all over the board. More likely than not, they are a blue-collar worker. And the guns that they use the handguns, the long guns. Well, they've owned these things for quite some time. And now all of a sudden they're going off the deep end and they're going to go out and solve this problem they perceive with these weapons that they've had all along. All right. Now, the house of worship shooter tends to be a white male in his 40s, suicidal with some type of prior criminal record or history of violence. That's what we saw, up in White Settlement, Texas, here just a year and a half, 2 years ago, and usually use a handgun. Well, why a handgun? Come on. You walk into church on Sunday morning carrying a long gun, it's a little obvious. So usually it is a concealed handgun that they use in the houses of worship. And the sad part, they know these people that they're about to shoot. I find that terribly disturbing. But they don't really plan these things too much. They just jump off the deep end, show up on Sunday morning, and do their terrible deed. Now, medical facilities, well, it tends to be a middle to older age shooter with some grievance. I came to the ER last night. I felt terrible. They told me to take some aspirin and go home. I'm going to show them. And he shows back up the next day. But we have another class of shooter at the ER too we got to watch out for. These gangbangers. They shot it out on the street. They weren't really particularly happy the way it ended up. And so now they're showing up to settle a score. So ladies and gentlemen, anytime you have to go to the emergency room, I know you're not going to feel good, but try to pay attention to what's going on. And if at all possible, sit with your back next to the wall, not out here in the middle, and figure out where are the doors, where are the exits. And if somebody comes in with a gun, which direction are you going to go? Figure that out. I'm sorry that we had to be on our toes so often, but that is the reality in this crazy world. And I can assure you, a lot of these emergency rooms are very dangerous places. So keep your head in the game, pay attention, all right? Now, these are places that we all go, the mall, the grocery store, the retail store. As you can see, I don't know how you leave these out. Oops, sorry about that. So here's the deal. You're walking through the Galleria on your day off. Well, what are you likely doing? Of course, you got to be texting. You got to be in communication, right? You're walking through the mall right there, and as long as nobody's laying down in front of you, you're okay. You're not going to trip. Put this thing up. Pay attention to what's going on around you. You are inviting somebody to come up and attack you, pickpocket you. Just some of these people are so frustrated. They may be on a vengeance and come out and just want to cold cock you. So put this thing up, pay attention, because the people that have their head on a swivel and they're paying attention to what's going on, they're not going to bother those people. Okay. So just, put this thing up. If you absolutely have to text or call somebody, back up against a showcase window. Now you have 180 degrees, somewhat doable to keep an eye on, but don't put yourself at additional risk. That phone call, that texting most likely will wait for another time, folks. Now, in 2019, unfortunately, we had 28 active shooting incidents and 97 people were killed. 150 individuals were wounded. 2 law enforcement officers died. 40% of the shooters committed suicide. Of the 30 shooters, 29 were male and only 1 female. So ladies, watch out for these crazy men. Your mama told you that, right? Remember what mama told you. That's important, all right? Now, I hate to say it because I'm just like our other speaker, I'm a proud native Texan. 6 of those incidents leading the nation right here in the great state of Texas. And that's unfortunate, but that is reality. That is what took place, all right? So how are these things resolved in 2019? 5 of the shooters committed suicide. Thank you very much. 10 were killed and 15 apprehended, all right? Now, statistically, you are not going to be the victim of an active shooter. So why worry about it? Well, I think we can look at a few of these bullet points I've put up here and figure out pretty quick. Oh, by the way, if you'll add those up, 3 of those bullet points happen to be where? The greater Houston area. So, folks, we're as likely, if not more so, than anywhere else in the nation to become the victim of an active shooter. That is just based on previous history. And we go back quite a few years to shootings that most of you have never heard of. So, but we do have these things going on. So anyway, now, so the question is, how do I survive? You've done a lot of talking, but how do I survive? Well, right there I have the picture of 26 individuals, 20 children, 6 educators from Sandy Hook Elementary. Imagine in your mind how long 4 minutes is. That's all it took for all 26 of those people to perish. 4 short minutes. So the reality is, best case scenario, we get a call of an active shooter. These guys are going to go crazy to get there. And you better get out of their way, I'm just telling you. So that's still, it could all be over by the time any of these fine officers arrive on scene. So the reality is, it may be up to you to make the best choice possible to minimize your exposure and to have the best chance of going home alive. Now, having that survival mindset, I break it down into 3 categories. Number 1, instinctive survival mindset. In 30 years of active shooting experience, I have found one true example of a gentleman that had an instinctive survival mindset. That was about 2.5 years ago up in Indianapolis, Indiana. A young boy comes to school with a gun, to middle school, and starts to shoot. He shoots a 13-year-old girl. This teacher goes into action, tackles a kid, gets him on the ground. Thank goodness, stopped the shooting. He got himself shot 3 times. This was on Monday. I did notice on the national news by Friday, the teacher's out watching a school softball game, so I guess he's doing reasonably okay. But folks, that is so rare. This is where I really hope you place yourself. A developed survival mindset. You take this information, you visualize, you process it, you visualize it at work, at church, at the mall, all the different places you go in your life. You visualize being there, a gunman coming in, and you using the run, hide, fight tactics and techniques. And I'm telling you, if you do, the odds will be in your favor of getting out of that. But the third category, that's where the majority of people are, despite our best efforts. And I'm sorry, you can tell this is a real sophisticated presentation. What do I call them? They're ostriches. They're sticking their head in the sand. Oh, come on, it's not going to happen to me. I don't need to go down. I want to stay home and watch the game tonight. No, I don't. Folks, please don't let yourself be in that category right there. So, creating your survival mindset. Number 1, I got to shift you out of your comfort zone just a little bit, but trust me, you can deal with this. In doing so, you're now likely to establish some good, sound logic and data. And in a crisis, more likely than not, you're going to make the right choice that significantly improves your odds of survival. Because I can't tell you all the active shootings I've reviewed and some of the things some of the victims do is absolutely crazy. But when you don't have a survival mindset and you're panicking, you don't make the best decisions, folks. That's why it's so important that ahead of time, you load your brain with these good ideas. Now, if you want to be a hero, cool, go ahead. You'll probably get yourself killed. Now, if you want to assist others, that's okay. But how do you do that? As you're running out of the building. If Sally Jane is over here and she's frozen with fear and she can't move, you yell at her one time, come on, follow me. And if she still stands there and can't move, you keep going. You stopping over here to beg and plead with her and get yourself shot and killed, that's not going to help you. And sure, your family's not going to appreciate it one bit. And she's probably going to get killed anyway. So you keep moving as you encourage people. What did I say? Okay, it's taped. Whatever. So anyway, you can assist others as you escape, but we know that calm is contagious. If you've got your predetermined survival mindset, I assure you, you will be just a tad calmer and under control than everybody else around you. And they're going to look at you and they're going to follow your lead, because let me tell you, in a panic situation, people are just dying to know what to do. And if they look at you and you exhibit leadership because you've got that survival mindset, I assure you they're going to follow your lead, because we know leadership fills a vacuum. That is a fact, all right? And we also know intelligent responses save lives. Again, I can't tell you some of the crazy things people do under stressful situations, and that many times will get you killed. That's the only goal right there, to go home alive, plain and simple. All right. Now, you're in for a treat because this video excursion is out of Australia. James, see if you can click that part. This is out of Australia by Dr. Stuart Bender. He's been very kind. This is about 19 minutes long. You can find it on YouTube, but he's been kind and cut it down to 13 minutes for me. And I'll just tell you this ahead of time. You watch this, and I think when it's over, you'll agree this is the closest feeling you can get to being a victim of an active shooter without really being a victim of an active shooter.
Essentially, has been control. Control and authority. Being in charge. And for the first time in my life, I felt those things just slip away. Hi there, I'm Miles to meet Professor Whitney.
That's correct. I think you're in lecture room 213, that's in the east wing. Can you sign in here, please?
Of course, thank you.
You have a line which still walks on for 11 with Alice.
Hi. Nice to have you here. Elizabeth says level 2 is just down the corridor. When you get to level 2, you go all the way to the end stage room 213.
Well, that's wonderful, thank you very much. Right, there we go, guys, so let's head up down this way.
Come on, guys.
Charles, hello, fantastic.
It's good to see you.
Hospital, please, where are you from?
Oh, but,
Anyway, I'll just say this.
yeah, sure. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to West Hess. If you're interested in perhaps attending a university next year. We offer a series of student scholarships. They're available to you, it's on an application basis. So, the academic studentship award covers books, materials, and personal computer, as I said. It also covers things like
No, please. No, do. Yes, I
go and go to work and make a little bit of money on the side. If you want to apply for this exchange program. So, if you want to do that, let's give you a go.
What is that?
Excuse me, madam.
You just keep breathing. Just keep breathing.
Hello? Alright guys, it seems that the university has been kind enough to spare you for any more of my lecture by having an evacuation drill. So if we get you guys all to get up, head towards the doors, and right down the stairs, okay? Thank you.
Before you move, just remember, we're moving very calmly, quietly, no rushing, all right? We're working our way to the nearest exit, so let's stick together.
Guys, just downstairs and to the left, okay? Not sure. Don't tell the kids. Something may go on.
It's just,
You come this way, it's just a drill, nothing to worry about. Get going. Come on up here, Samantha. Pretty much everybody. Okay. I'm sure that's crazy. Everybody back! Everybody get out of here! Let's go. Down the other end, shoot your exit. Come on, go, move! Go, boys, run!
See you on the other side.
shut up. You move so real fucking slow. Move another inch, and it'll be the last thing you ever do. You don't have the balls hold now. I don't do.
Guys, take one down. Hey, throw out of the building and go out. You need to come lady.
Please listen. Sure thing. It was us all here. I want you to get your shit together right now. Tony, Mr. Jackson, I want the two of you to lock the door behind you when I go. Okay? Do you love God?
Does he love me?
On today's day, you gotta find out. Get away from me. Drop the gun. Do you believe in God? Drop the fucking gun. Drop it!
I know it sounds cliche, but those kids are like my kids. My responsibility. You can't make choices about who lives and dies.
See his face every night. And I just keep thinking, why not me? What a nice life.
Pretty realistic. I think Dr. Bender did an excellent job of putting that whole thing together. It's just amazing. But it gives you the understanding of how emotional and how frightening it can be if that survival mindset, it likely is just not going to work out too well. So they're shooting, what do I do? Number one, trust your eyes, not your ears. Sound reverberates. It may sound like he's over here and he's really over there. So number one, trust your eyes, not your ears, all right? Have a predetermined escape route, especially in the location that you spend so much time at volunteer or at work, whatever. No, hey, if somebody starts shooting, my best option to get out of here is this way, that way, whichever. Plan ahead, folks. That's really critical. And if you're outside, don't run in a straight line. That makes such an easy target for the shooter. Zigzag, like the deer through the woods. That's really important. Oh, and by the way, if all your friends are running that way, let go. Go this way. If I'm the shooter, I'm going to shoot into the crowd. You want to be a loner in a situation like this, if at all possible, all right? But slow down, assess the situation. All I'm talking about is taking 1 or 2 seconds. And you will find in a situation like this, your mind will slow down in 2 or 3 seconds, especially if you've got your predetermined survival mindset. You will make a number of important decisions that likely will see you through this crisis, all right? Now, Here's the definition of an active shooter, the second one from National Tactical Officers Association. The real key up there where it talks about robbery and kidnapping, major takeaway, an active shooter is not like your average criminal. He's wired totally different. Let's take this guy that wakes up and decides he's broke. He wants to go party tonight. So he gets up, he goes down to the nearest bank, walks in, sticks a gun in their face and says, I need to make a withdrawal. And of course, they do the smart thing. They give him a bag full of money. He's getting all giddy, gay, and excited, thinking about the great time he's going to have. He turns to leave. And wouldn't you know, Sabota standing right behind him. He just came in to cash that really big extra duty check he got. He's going to tell his wife about all the money. No, maybe he is. Who knows? Anyway, so here's the deal. That's not an active shooter. This guy is off to jail, and that's the bottom line. Poor Officer Sabota, he's got 3 hours worth of paperwork. But let's talk about an active shooter. Let's look at Sparks Middle School out in Reno, Nevada, the day that this kid started killing people. And there was this teacher, Michael Lansbury, former Marine, now a school teacher. This kid comes to school that morning with a gun. Probably got it from his dad. It wasn't secured. He's on the playground, middle school, starts shooting and killing other kids. And Lansbury does exactly as you would expect a former Marine to do. He walked up bravely to that young boy's son. Calm down, relax. We're going to get you through this. And the kid pulls the trigger. Michael Lansbury dies in the dirt on the playground. Understand this. If they have pulled the trigger one time, there is no turning back. Now, if they have not pulled the trigger, there may be a possibility to talk them down. But once they've pulled that trigger, there is no turning back. Understand that. That is absolutely critical. Now, we know 60% of the active shooting events, unfortunately, are over before these fine officers can be on scene and deal with the situation. So once again, you having your predetermined survival mindset, making intelligent choices, truly makes all the difference, ladies and gentlemen. Now, basically, sorry about that, fast finger. So anyway, there's no guarantee about any of this stuff. All we can do is give you the best suggestions and you apply them to your circumstance, your situation. I mean, there's no way we can tell you ahead of time, oh, you can do X, Y, or Z. Forget that. You are going to have to take this information. You're going to have to make that critical decision when necessary. Let's talk about Sandy Hook. Now, a few years ago, I had a chance to spend half a day with Colonel Danny Steubens, Connecticut State Police. Steubens was in charge of managing this horrible event. I learned a lot from him, and candidly, most of it we're not going to talk about. It's trust me, just very unpleasant. But there's a couple of things that are important. One, after the town of Newtown, Connecticut had buried 20 of their precious children and 6 of their educators, they got together and had a discussion. And then they took a vote, and the vote was to bulldoze down that schoolhouse. And they didn't stop there. They bulldozed down the house the shooter grew up in. They did everything humanly possible to wipe out that tragedy from their life. But we all know you can't do it. There's no way you wipe out the memory of all those precious children and those exemplary teachers. There's no way. So that's the situation there. But now, Steubens did tell me, he says, let me just tell you one thing. After all this was over, 50% of my officers that engaged came to me and said, Colonel, I can't do that again. I just can't go there. They gave up their careers in law enforcement. They moved on to find new professions. Steubens and the 50% that remain, they're all getting counseling on a regular basis. These horrific events do not just drift away, ladies and gentlemen. I assure you, all right? Now, see the little lady up there? About 3 weeks after the situation, she came out and said this: we cannot control the situations which come to us in life. We can only choose how to respond to them. By the way, she lost a child, obviously. That's such a true statement. You cannot control what's going to happen to you tomorrow, but you can control how you respond to it. And that's exactly why I want to see every single one of you create your own personal survival mindset so you have that reservoir of good, intelligent choices to make in a crisis like this, should you ever find yourself in that situation. All right? Now, we learned some valuable lessons from Las Vegas. Once you're at a venue, first thing you want to do is check it out. You're going to the rodeo here maybe in another day or two. You get situated, first thing you ought to do is look around. If something goes down, how can I get out? And it doesn't have to be a traditional exit. It could be a corridor for the service people. I don't care what. But look around. Know what your options are, how you would get out of there. Anytime you go to a public venue, know what your exit is. And it could be not just an active shooter, but if there's a fire, all these things. You got to have your head in the game, folks. Now, I tell you, so many people that have been victims of active shooters, I've heard them say the same thing. Well, I heard the shots, but come on, I thought it was fireworks. Newsflash. Any loud sound out in public, it's a gunshot until proven otherwise. If you're wrong, so what? If you're right, it may give you the 2 or 3 seconds you need to get up and survive that terrible event, all right? But be prepared to render aid. Now in Las Vegas, we had over 300 casualties, from fatalities to minor wounds. You're standing there and the person next to you, like out in Vegas, is down. What are you going to do? You're going to stand there and watch them bleed to death? Because you know, a serious wound, 5 minutes, and you can be on your way, down and out and gone, all right? What if it's a family member? You're going to stand there and watch one of your loved ones die? Or maybe you're out here on the freeway and there's a horrible accident. You're going to stand there and watch that person? Please get fundamental first aid for gunshot wounds, how to deal with that, and we're going to talk about that right now. Here's just one option. It's a group called SETRAC, Southeast Texas Regional Advisory Council. You can call Kat Samuel. She goes around a 17-county area teaching this hour and 15-minute course, and all it is how you put pressure on a wound, how you put a tourniquet on. Very simple. But folks, that could be so fundamentally important to someone's life. You just never know. Please, one way or the other, there's other groups doing it. I think maybe Methodist Hospital teaches this too. Get that training if you've never had it. That is so valuable, so important. And I mean, we saw this, and a lot of these officers probably know this story, but down in Santa Fe, when that officer who had just retired from here like 2 weeks before got shot in the arm. And we've watched plenty of shows on TV. Getting shot in the arm's no big deal, right? You put a sling and tomorrow you're at work. That's not reality. This officer came within 1 minute, the doctors later said, of bleeding to death. If that another officer had not got there and got that tourniquet cranked down on him, he would have been gone. So, folks, don't find yourself standing helplessly in a crisis like that. Know what to do. Get the training. Now, there's 5 phases to active shooters, says the FBI, and I agree with them. They fantasize. They have said, I will be so great, everybody will know me. And then they create a plan. That's what we saw at Columbine. Those kids had that thing mapped out with military precision, let me tell you. And then they prepare. They may go out and get the G.I. Joe garb, all this stuff that makes them feel strong and macho. And of course, they practice just like Columbine. They went out and they target practice, had their friends videotape it. And of course, number 5, they kill all these people. Well, what's critical here? There's a timeline. These are not spontaneous events. But during this time, you are around this person consistently, you just may pick up on some of these signals, these red flags, and be able to do what? Intervene. How would I do that? Various options. Number 1, pretty rare, direct encounter. Charlie, sit down, man. We need to talk. Candidly, most people are not good with that. So, hey, go to your supervisor, HR, senior management. But if you're not comfortable with it, nobody at work is comfortable, guess what? This police department happens to have an entire division dedicated to mental health. We lead the nation in that from everything I've seen. And let me tell you, we got 18 to 20 CIT officers, crisis intervention trained. Every day we have 4 of those officers in patrol units with a clinician from the Mental Health Association going around this city. We get a 911 call with a mental health nexus. We get a team on site. They get there. Here's that paranoid schizophrenic. He can't communicate with anybody. But you know what? These trained professionals, they have a pretty good batting record. And if he has not pulled the trigger, they have a real good percentage of talking them down and getting them the mental health help they need and saving countless lives. So, folks, I really encourage you to talk to these people. You'll find out many things about how to deal with somebody in a mental health crisis. Now, we've got these posters. We're coordinating with Crime Stoppers. We put them out through the schools, and we really think these are going to help out quite a bit. And you go, well, man, it's only a freaking poster. Let me tell you, hey, Johnny invites Sam over to his house after school one day. He says, man, look here. He shows him his guns. He shows him his tactical gear. He says, look, man, next Tuesday, don't come to school. Just tell your mom you're sick. Don't come to school next Tuesday. Well, this kid's no idiot. He puts 2 and 2 together. He knows what's about to go down. But what's he going to do? He doesn't want to rat his friend out. But look, he can dial that number, because that is a sacred number. They never trace the phone calls, okay? He can call up, he can share the information, and the consequence of that is his buddy gets the mental health help he needs, and countless people are not shot and killed that would have been otherwise. So we really have high hopes that this is going to make a big difference in our school and avoid a lot of those tragic situations. But the irony is, likely, if it works, we'll never know it, but that's cool. We can live with that. Now, I'm going to go through 3 slides pretty quick of warning signs. They're argumentative. They're uncooperative with supervisors. They have rage reactions. They're always a victim. They blame others, increase accidents. They make a lot of mistakes. They manipulate and exploit others, bully, threaten, or committing violence, withdrawn, depressed, avoid coworkers. They have increased drug and alcohol abuse, increased absenteeism, noticeable decrease in grooming and personal hygiene, increased severe mood swings, unstable emotional responses, suicidal talks, putting things in order. Hey, this is a guy that may come up and say, I just got my will rewritten. Everything's organized. Everything's in place. Don't worry about it. It's all taken care of. No big deal. That's the kind of talk they're likely to share with you. Now, they're paranoid. What a surprise there. Increased talks of problems at home. They can't figure that out. So they want you to get involved. And my advice, run from that opportunity as fast as you can. They talk of previous incidents of violence. They express empathy for individuals committing violence. They're the kind, after the massacre at the movie theater in Aurora, Colorado, they're likely to show up at work the next day and say something like this. Did you see the Joker? Did you see that dude? Man, he came alive. Those people he put down in that movie theater, man, they didn't get up. That was the real deal. No Hollywood, no, it was a real thing. That's the kind of talk they're likely to share with you, ladies and gentlemen. Increase unsolicited comments about firearms, other deadly weapons, and violent crimes. Now, I'll be honest. On most any given day driving to work, probably 1 or 2 of those characteristics apply to me. But look, we all have bad days, right? That's just reality. What's the key? Consistency. If you see somebody tomorrow come in and exhibit 1 or 2 of those characteristics, don't freak out. But if a week later they're still exhibiting, there's that consistency, yeah, you better get them some help, all right? Now, when shots are fired, the first thing, run, get up, get out. Escaping is always your first option. And look, if you got that bright orange jogging suit on, this would be a real good time to cover it up or strip it off, whatever the case may be. Don't call attention to yourself. Be unconventional. Break windows. You're on the ground floor. You hear shots. You get up. You look down the hall. You see this guy down here. He's shooting people, dropping blood everywhere. You go, when he looks that way, I'm going this way. Don't do that. Turn around. Walk back through that building. Get to the outside window. Take a heavy object. Heave it through the window and go to safety. Plain and simple, all right? But now, If you're on the second floor, you can bust the window and jump. These young guys, they're going to bounce right back. But I'm sorry, you, me, and a bunch of us right up here. Yeah, you too. We're probably going to get 1-2 months of rehab, but I assure you it's better than that AK-47 round in this side of your head and out the other. There's no question about that. So just keep that in mind. But now look, if you're on the third floor or the higher, probably not a smart idea to go bailing out the window, especially like if you're at Williams Tower up on the 52nd floor. Don't do that. That's not cool. So that's the deal. So what's the deal? Third floor or higher, the ball game is this. The field of play is the floor you're on. You're not leaving. You're not going to get on the elevator because if those doors reopen and he's there, you're toast. Forget the stairwells. Our friends over at the fire department, they love their concrete fireproof stairwells, but let me tell you, it's nothing more than a vertical shooting gallery with the added benefit that if he misses, the ricochet may kill you. Stay out of the stairwells. So you got to know all the hideouts, all the file rooms, copy rooms, restrooms, whatever. You got to take a refuge on that floor. That is absolutely essential. And hey, if you got a weapon, like sitting at your desk, a pair of scissors, letter opener, grab that. Take it with you just in case running doesn't work, hiding fizzles out. You got to go hands-on, face-to-face. At least you have those scissors. That's important. But look, those suitcases you ladies call purses, backpacks, gentlemen, leave that stuff behind. You own nothing worth dying for. Leave it behind. Get up. And it may only take you 2 or 3 seconds to get that item, but that could make the difference in living or dying. Leave your stuff behind. Get up, get out. That's it. Now, hiding, lock the door, barricade it. Newsflash, 30 years of active shooting experience. I cannot find a single episode where the shooter breached a door that was secure somehow. It was locked. It was barricaded, jammed with a wedge, tied with a cord. I don't care. They don't do that. And you go, well, why? Because they understand they got about 6 minutes to shoot and kill as many people as possible. So they're not going to waste their time trying to breach that door. Now, don't misunderstand me. They will shoot through the door out of frustration. So turn off your cell phone, turn off the lights, stand clear of the doors, stand to the side, because I took 2 square feet of door from headquarters. I gave it to guys out at SWAT. They did me a favor. They took it out and they ventilated it a little bit for me. Look at the other side of that door. Every single round from a 22 to a 308, for you non-gun people, it's a little gun to a big gun. Every round came through with what I call terminal velocity. In other words, it comes through, it hits you in a vital organ. Odds are real good you're going to die. So again, do not be misled. Don't stand behind these big, heavy doors. I know the sheetrock is worse, but for some reason, they don't tend to shoot through sheetrock. I don't know why. They just don't. So stand clear of the door. That's critical. Weapons. Now, we have weapons pretty much everywhere if you stop and think about it. My favorite, fire extinguishers. You grab that thing, you're standing right next to the door. Somehow, this guy gets through the door. You take that hose, stick it up his nose, let it go till it's empty. When it's over and he's coughing and wheezing, you hit him over the head with that thing. You get vicious, you get violent, you take out all your frustration that you have due to whoever. Just figure out that this is a person that really aggravated you the other day. You let him have it. Let me tell you, you can do this. Trust me. Other weapons, as you can see up there, broken glass, knife, whatever. Now, one of my favorite weapons is one I have my daughter up at SMU carry to school every single day, right there, ballpoint pen. You go, are you joking? Let me tell you, there's a former officer that wakes up every morning a quadriplegic because somebody nailed him in the neck with a ballpoint pen. Folks, if this is all you have, you use it. You use it with all the aggression you get, but I don't want you to go for the neck. And I'm sorry this is gross. You go for the eyes. You drill that thing through his eyeball. You write your initials on the back of his skull. I'm sorry. This is your day to live, not die, period. Okay? So, now, what other weapons do we have up there? Maybe your car. Now, let me just tell you a quick story. Here a couple of years ago, I'm backing out of the driveway at home, getting ready to come to work. Phone rings, command center. Mr. Daniel, we got an active shooter in progress on Law Street just off of Wesleyan. Thanks, guys. You made my day. So I make a beeline. I get there. And let me tell you, my timing is absolutely perfect because they just took the guy out. Remember, civilian, no weapons. Anyway, they had just taken this guy down. It was about a 30-minute engagement. And during this time, what he did, he parked his little green Porsche, like you see in the picture, right across the street, parallel to the curb, opposite the exit gate. And that Monday morning, people that lived in these condos, 10 of them, one at a time, backed out of their garages, pulled up to the gate opened, and they pulled out like every day to go to work. And this guy's leaning up against his Porsche with a 45, putting rounds right through the windshield, seriously wounding all 10 of those people. Nobody had a survival mindset. So in the absence of that, you default to instinct. What's the instinctive reaction? Whip the car to the left, flee the threat, and get away. And that's precisely what all 10 of them did. And they went down the street, half a block, pulled into the parking lot at the shopping center, and waited for rescue. So, folks, what if the first person out of the gate that morning had a survival mindset? They had done this visualization stuff I'm talking about. And instead of turning the car to the left and flee and get away, what if the first person out of the gate went straight ahead, gave it the gas, rammed that guy, crammed him between their front bumper and his little Porsche? 9 more people wouldn't have been shot at all. And I would suggest that brave individual that responded in that manner would probably not be any worse than he was anyway. Survival mindset in these critical situations, it makes all the difference, ladies and gentlemen. Now, combat breathing. Ladies, what do you call this? Lamaze. Look, babies, bullets, whatever. It's all the same. Okay, here we go. So how you do it, you breathe in to a count of 4. You hold your breath to a count of 4. You exhale to a count of 4. You do it 4 more times. And your blood pressure comes down just a little bit. You're a little bit calmer, a little bit more under control. You're a little bit better equipped to deal with this crisis. And if you think this doesn't work, next time somebody's really aggravating you and you really like to tell them what you think, try that. You'll probably be thankful later on that it allowed you to keep your mouth closed and not get yourself in deeper trouble, all right? It does work, trust me, all right? Now, the final option is here, and you're going to have to fight this guy. It's going to take a radical mindset change. And as a parent or grandparent, the day this lunatic shows up, you're there with that child, and that child is right there in harm's way. I can assure you, you can take action, but it's essential that you control your emotions. You don't let your emotions take over. If you do, forget it. It won't work. And again, the best way to do that is to have your predetermined survival mindset you have created through visualization for that situation. Now, here's another technique, swarming, okay? So it's Saturday. You're at the mall with your best friend. You're going shopping for whatever excites you in life. Where do you start every expedition like that? Well, at that place I won't name because they don't like the police department, but they sell coffee, okay? So you're sipping the coffee, and all of a sudden this idiot in front of you pulls out a pistol, starts shooting. You go, we have nowhere to hide. We have no weapons. We got to attack this guy, and we tackle him. We get him down. We stop the shooting. Now, understand, somebody may get shot. Somebody could die. But if you stand there and do absolutely nothing, probably it's not going to work out real well. Another example, remember on 9/11, that airliner flying over the fields of Pennsylvania? What those brave young men do? They swarmed the cockpit. They took those terrorists out. I understand they died when that plane crashed into the fields. But if they hadn't done that, we will never know how many thousands of people would have died in Washington, D.C. when that fuel-laden aircraft imploded into the crowds in our nation's capital. So just swarming, one more option. But let me tell you, the most important thing, critical thinking. And that is you with your predetermined survival mindset. Going back to Sandy Hook, all right? They had a policy, locked down in the classroom. But can you believe this? 2 teachers violated policy Kids, come on now. They bugged out. They went out the door. They ran up the hill to the fire station. Do you know, not a child, not a teacher in either of those classes was harmed at all. And what they left behind was absolute tragic bloodbath of 20 precious children and 6 educators. Having that survival mindset and acting on it makes all the difference in the world, folks, all right? Now, every officer in our department goes through a 2-day course on active shooter. I can testify to that. Somebody in a weaker moment allowed me to take the course too as a civilian. It's the real deal. We take the fight to the bad guy. You got to understand that. We've looked at our firearms, our tactical training. We've got long guns. In fact, I think we got something right now, about 1,400 officers certified to carry assault rifles as well. We also teach what we call the priority of life scale in that course. Hostages, innocent bystanders, they're the ones that get the first pass on living. Who do you suspect is a second-class citizen here when life is on the line? Oh, these men and women that wear that badge. Yeah, they're the ones that are putting their lives on the line in these critical situations, okay? That is the bottom line. They're going to do whatever they have to. They will put their lives out there on the line for you. And if you come over to headquarters, which probably a lot of you have been there, you know, we got that granite wall. I believe, unfortunately, we're now up to 120 names on that wall. That represents 120 men and women of the Houston Police Department that put their lives on the line for the citizens of this city. So as you see these officers day in, day out, and you see that badge up there, just remember, when they came to work today, they promised their boss a lot more than you and I do. Those are the men and women of the Houston Police Department. Suspects. Well, you know, we're going to shoot and kill them every time we can, right? That's what the news media tells you. But look, newsflash. The media doesn't always get it right, folks. Let me give you an example. The one person that I really have as a confidant that really is my sounding board for whatever I say and teach is Lieutenant Rick Besselman, head of our SWAT team. And I tell you, he is a consummate professional. And so I was talking to him the other day and I said, so what's up? And this was on a Monday. He says, well, we got a call out at 3:00 this morning. I go, yeah, how'd it go? He says, well, there was a guy downtown, had a pistol, holding people at gunpoint. I said, so you get there and you, at that point, just took him out? No, we didn't do that. I said, so what did you do? We shot him with a beanbag shotgun, knocked him on his butt, cuffed him, took him to jail. I don't know about you folks. I've not had any engagements like that. I'm sure some of these officers have. I would just shoot him. I'm sorry, he's pointing a real gun at me. I don't want to deal with anything other than a real gun going back to him. But that's what these are. And he says, but let me tell you, Stephen, that's the 5th time this calendar year we've done that. Now, this was in 2021. 5th time we've done that. That is the way the Houston Police Department operates. If we can possibly save a life, we're going to do it. These officers are out there putting their lives on the line every day, trying to do the right thing. Does that always work? Of course not. But they're out there on the streets doing the job, period. Now, when the police arrive, folks, as soon as a parole officer gets here, he's going to get geared up. He's going to have a long gun, most likely. But let me tell you, if you've been shot and you're laying in the lobby of this building, we're going to walk right past you. Going down the hall, an officer gets shot where he drops, they're going to leave him. Because what's the goal? They got to go to the shooter. They got to stop the shooting. That's it, period. So that's why it's so important to know fundamental first aid for gunshot wounds, to take care of yourself or take care of your friends. Because these officers at that point, they don't have the time to do that. They're moving to the shooter to stop the killing. That is their job. Proceed directly to the sound of the killing. All right? Now, When we get there, don't do anything that can be seen as aggressive. You know, obviously, these officers are very professional, but don't tell me they're not stressed out at an active shooting. I don't care how professional you are. Your blood pressure is going to be through the roof. You're going to be stressed. And so don't make their job any more difficult. Put your hands up. Don't make any quick moves. That's really important, all right? Listen to what they say. Just do whatever they say. If they say lay down, just do it. That's important. Officers are trained that hands kill. Stop and think. Hands hold guns, knives, throw punches. So tomorrow is supposed to be a nice day, I think. You're out driving along and you look in the rearview mirror and I be darned, you got a personal invitation to pull to the side of the road to get better acquainted with one of these fine officers. So you're sitting there. First thing you ought to do, put the window down, put your hands on the wheel. Don't worry about going for the license or insurance. Hands on the wheel. That officer, in good time, will come up to your vehicle. And you may, in the mirror, notice as he or she walks up, they likely are going to touch the back of your car because they're putting their fingerprints on it. Just in case this thing goes south, we can prove that was a car at the scene, okay? So, hey, just sit there, chill out, listen to what that officer says, and do exactly what they say. If you have a weapon in the car, that's okay. Hands on the wheel. Officer, I do have a weapon in the car. That officer will then tell you what to do. And let me just be candid. What one officer tells you today may be totally different than if you got stopped 2 weeks later. It all depends on the officer that is standing outside of your car window. That is a person in charge. And if you have a disagreement on why you were stopped, that's fine. But on the street is not where you have the disagreement. You come down here to the court and present your argument to the judge, and that's the way we settle those things out, okay? Really important. So now, in conclusion, folks, do your best to remain calm in these situations. Follow the directions. Whatever the officers tell you, just do it. It may not make sense. Just do it, all right? And we may handcuff you. Chill out. We got keys. We'll let you go. Hey, here's the tough part. You're going to see people die. It may be people you know, people you care about. This is not a pleasant situation. But what is the important goal? It is for you to go home alive to your family. That's it right there, folks, okay? Now, just remember, on the worst day of your life, dial those 3 little numbers, and these officers will be there as quickly as humanly possible. I am telling you, that is the way they operate. So I do this training all over the place, even for you folks that are out of state. There's possibilities of going there. I've gone to California, New York, whatever. So anyway, thank you for your time and attention. I know it's kind of drawn out tonight. If you do have any questions, I tell you what, I will stay up here. I don't want to hold everybody else. So thank you. God bless. Be careful.
There's only one word for what you have seen. It's an excellent, excellent program. I hope you don't forget a single thing if you're in a tight spot, as they say. We're going to finish up. Next meeting for the citywide PIP is May 10th, if you want to put that down. And on behalf of the citywide board, the divisional PIP officers, the entire command staff, we would like to say thank you to the PIP members that are here. Thank you for coming out this evening. We appreciate the fact that you took the time to do this. And if you have the time, you get involved. If you don't have the time, you make the time. It's your neighborhood and your city, so let's make it safe. Thank you. Get home, please, safely, and we'll see you on May 10th.
There's some food left. There's some food left.
Oh, okay. There is food, lots of food